Hey students, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve this somewhat challenging coding problem in CodeHS called fill to line. This is in lesson 1.15 in CodeHS. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do as always is look carefully at the assignment instructions. Here's what it says. Carol needs to fill the world with tennis balls up to the line. There can only be one tennis ball in each spot. Make sure the code works in all worlds. Each world is a different size. Some worlds already have tennis balls and others don't, so be careful. So looking over here, in world 1 is actually the easiest world. As it says, we're going to fill up to the line. So the line is 3 rows up, and we're just going to fill it, the world with tennis balls. And you can see over on the far left, there's what it looks like when you're done. As it says here, when done filling the world with tennis balls, Carol must be facing east, or that's to the right, in the upper right corner of the world as demonstrated. So you can see Carol here in the upper right corner. Also, you must use at least 2 helper functions in addition to the main function. So we're going to have at least 3 functions in this program by the time we're done. Let's go back over here. Again, I was talking about how there's multiple worlds. World 1 is the easiest, but let's look at world 2. It gets a little harder because now the world is not completely empty, but there are already 4 balls kind of randomly located around the world. The world is now 4 rows high, and there's the line we have to fill up to there. And remember, there can only be 1 tennis ball in each spot, so we have to think about how to solve that problem. Then in world 3, it gets a lot harder because the ceiling has kind of this stair-steppy shape to it. And so it's a little bit harder to figure out how to get up and fill everything when each row is a different length. We'll talk about that. We're going to solve these one by one, starting with world 1, and which again is the easiest. So let's get started on that now. All right, we are in our code here. The main function is there, and we have to have at least 2 other helper functions, which we'll put below that. Now, let's see here. I'm going to suggest we have to always think about what kind of function and function name that we should use. We need to use function names that are easy to understand and are very clear as far as what they do. So I'm going to create a function called fill row. That's just going to fill 1 row from left to right. So I'm going to come in here on line 7 or 8, go function fill row. This is a function definition, so it has a name and it has the curly braces that mark the beginning and end of the function. Now, inside this row, what do we want to have happen? We just want Carol to move, to put a ball and then move, put a ball and move, and just kind of do that until the front is no longer clear. So that sounds like a really good place to use a while loop. A while loop has a condition like while front is clear, and so he won't run into the wall then. While front is clear, what do you want him to do? Well, pretty easy. We'll just put a ball and move. Well, that's a pretty good start. It's not going to solve all our problems, but let's go with that. Now up here in the main function is where we call all of our functions. So let's just call fill row. And there we go. And then let's go ahead now and run this. And we go into main, it calls fill row. Fill row is going to hopefully fill 1 row. And so far so good. He gets to the far right and he stops, but he does not put a row in that last position. And that should look familiar because that's happened in other exercises before. And that's called the fence post problem, where when you have repetitive actions, at the end, you have to repeat that final action 1 more time to fill the last spot. And so it literally looks like we need to, after we get done doing this while loop, and the front is no longer clear, and we're at that far right edge, right here after that while loop, we probably should put ball 1 more time. Okay. And so now if we reset this, speed it up just a bit, and run it, now he's going to do the while loop, gets to the end, and he puts that last ball. Perfect. We have solved the first row of the first world. Now, what do we need to do next? Well, we need to go up a row and get in position over on the far left so that we can repeat this function that we just did. Again, we want to reuse our functions as much as possible. So it would be very smart if we could use fill row again. But again, fill row works going from left to right, and it might not work as easily if we were going the other direction. So I think what we should do is get our dog to go up a row and then go all and just move without putting the ball all the way back to the beginning point, turn around, and then we can call fill row again. It'll be great. I'm going to call that action move up. You could call it something else if you wanted, but I'm going to create a little function here called move up, because that, again, is descriptive of what it does. It moves Carol up a row and gets him in position. All right, I've just created that function. And what does it do? If he's at this position, he should turn left, okay? And he should move, and then he should turn left again. And then inside maybe a while loop or something, I'll just have him, while front is clear, just move all the way back until he gets here, and then he should turn around and be ready to go. So let's try something like that. Let's just go turn left and move, which gets him to move up one row, and then turn left again. Now he's facing to our left, and then we'll do this, while loop, while front is clear. If you haven't noticed, that's a really commonly used conditional statement. While the front is clear, let's just have Carol move. And then when it gets to the very end, when the front is no longer clear, that means he hit the wall, so he won't move anymore, and then we can just have him turn around. And he knows that command, so that should work. So that's move up. Now, to get that to this function, to get it to run, we have to call it, and we'll call it right after the other function right here, move up. Okay. Let's reset this and run it. He's now doing the fill row. He gets to the end. He goes all the way back and turns around. Perfect. Now he's in position. Now he didn't do fill row again. Now we could call fill row again, move up again, and fill row again and move up. We could do these two commands 3 times, and it would work. It would fill this world. But again, whenever you find yourself repeating yourself over and over, you might think, well, that's probably a good place for a loop, right? So instead of just writing out the code 3 times, let's use a loop and loop it 3 times. We could just do a for loop because we know we want to do it 3 times. At least in this world, we want to do it 3 times. So we could use a for loop and it would work. However, it has to work in every world, and not every world is 3 rows high, right? They're all quite different. So what we should probably do is a while loop here and choose our condition that we should use. I'm going to go ahead and do, let's go ahead and use our standard while loop here. Let's give this a try. Let's go while front is clear, and we'll put our closing curly brace down here. Okay? And so as long as the front is clear, we can go ahead and run this. Let's give that a try. We need to tab these over. All right. He does row 1, moves back into position, 2, and 3. Now, there's a little problem here. We ran into an error. That is because when he gets to the far end, we tell him to move up, and move up means to turn left and move. Well, he's reached the ceiling, and so that's a little bit of a problem. So we're going to have to edit our code so that here in the move up function, the dog does not turn left and try to move if the way is blocked. And the way we can do that, again, if we look at our docs, we can see some of the conditions that are available. We can, not only can we check if the front is clear, but we can also check if left is clear. And as far as Carol is concerned, when he's right here, his left is right above him. And if it's not clear, he won't do that. So here in move up, what we should do is put an if statement here. If left is clear, we should turn, move, and do all of this basically. So we'll just include all of that inside that if statement. Okay, so all of these things from here to here need to be tabbed in. You can select them all and hit the tab to move them all over at once. Let's reset this and run it. Speed it up even a bit more. There you go. It worked. Okay, world 1 is solved. Now let's move on to world 2. In world 2, it's quite similar. It's just got one extra row, but there's also all these randomly placed balls around the world. So we're going to have to try that next. Let's go ahead. It's best sometimes just to try it and see how it works. Let's go ahead and run it. And you know what? It works pretty good. It fills the whole world. However, now we have 2 balls in each of these spots. So how are we going to fix that? Well, what we need to do is look at the different places right here and right here where we are putting a ball. And what we can do is just simply wrap those lines of code, those 2 lines of code, wrap them in an if statement. And so you won't be putting a ball there if a ball is present. This is how you can do it. Go ahead, put your cursor right in front of that first put ball and place an if statement there. If, now let's see, which condition should we use? Well, if we're going to put a ball there, we should check if there is no ball present there currently, and only if there is no ball present will we put one. So our correct condition would be no balls present. If no balls present, curly brace, then we would put the ball. And we should indent that line right there. If no balls, put ball. And we really need to do that here too, because it's possible that the ball, there could be a ball out here on the very end, right, where we're doing our fence post problem solution, and we don't want to put a ball there on top of one, so let's just do the same thing. If no ball present, then and only then put ball. All right, let's see if this solves our problem. Let's reset, slow it down just a bit so we can see it running. Now, here's the ball right here. Is he going to put one there? Nope, he doesn't. Perfect. And then he gets to the end, he turns around, he runs back to his starting point. There is a ball there, but he doesn't put one, and he just keeps on going through the code, and it looks like it's working pretty good. Goes up to the 3rd row, and he does not put a ball in a place where there already is one. Hey, this is working pretty good. All right, world number 2 has been solved. Let's go to world 3. Okay, now this world does look a little bit more challenging because the ceiling is an unusual shape. However, because we've done such a good job thinking through our problem and writing our functions, you're going to discover that this world is not as difficult as it looks. In fact, why don't we just run the code? Just as in the other worlds, Carol is carefully filling all the rows and not putting a ball if there's already one there. Speed it up a bit, and he continues to do so on every one. And as you can see, because we're using the move up function, Carol always moves up and only goes until he can go no further, which this automatically takes care of the problem that each row is a little bit shorter than the previous one. And so because we solved it that way, the stair-step ceiling is not really a problem at all. He gets to the very last one, puts the ball there. Actually, he doesn't put one there because there already was one. Let's reset. We can see there was one right there in the fence post area, but we took care of that. We said if no ball's present, then put ball. And there we didn't get an extra ball in that position either. And so we've solved the problem. Running it one more time, you can see that everything works great. Let's check code. Everything's green, and we're done. So there you go. That's the solution to a pretty difficult and challenging problem in CodeHS called fill to line. I hope you found this helpful.